Something about me is I love a good teacup and saucer. It's just the bouginess in me. Lewis got this for me for Christmas a couple of years ago. Absolutely love it. I'm having some peppermint tea because I used to drink about 5 cups of coffee a day, and lately I've just been needing to chill back on the coffee. So let's have a cup of tea together and talk about Ashley Madison. I had actually talked about Ashley Madison on my other YouTube channel, and I thought it would be only fair to do another video on this channel, since I just find the concept so fascinating and such an obvious company for someone to come up with. And the company just made one massive mistake, and if they didn't make that massive mistake, although it hasn't really affected them, they're still $1 million company, but if they didn't make that one mistake, this could have all been avoided. So let's get into the video. So the story goes, it's a Canadian company and it was founded January 21st, 2002. And the slogan of the company was, life's too short to not have an affair. No, life's too short, have an affair. It was kind of like, duh. And it's been dubbed like Tinder for married people. And at the time it was a popular website, apps weren't a thing, so it was all a website. Started in 2002, so fast forward to 2014, it had 37 million users worldwide. And for obvious reasons, they couldn't just advertise on Facebook, they couldn't just advertise on Twitter. They had to be really sneaky with how they advertised, because obviously it's a legit company, but they're promoting having an affair. So how they would promote it would be porn websites, they would do gambling, gaming websites, they would have massive billboards, and the photos of these are fascinating because they're so sneaky with how they promote it, but because they couldn't just say we are an affair company, it had to be somewhat sneaky about it. And get this, only men had to pay to sign up, women didn't. So they did the same thing as they would for like nightclubs, where they'd say girls getting free drinks for girls, and then the guys would have to pay more. So the memberships ranged from $10 to $200, and if you got the $200 one, it said it was a guaranteed affair. So I don't know how they could guarantee someone could get an affair, but they guaranteed it. So obviously, statistically speaking, and just looking at different like statistics, when you look up about it, more men are going to join than women. I found me, she was like barking, and then I felt like I heard the door going, and no one's due anytime soon. So I was like, anyway, but getting back onto it. So men had to pay to be on the site. Women could be on the site for free. It was also like LGBT as well. But then men had to instigate the message, and I think everyone had to pay the message, but men had to be the one that started it. So like I was saying, for obvious reasons, it would it would be men that would join the website. So I'll talk about it in a second, but there was obviously like fembots that were brought in and stuff, and men bots as well, but we'll get into that in a second. But it's super fascinating. I think it's such a smart business idea for anyone to start doing. It just seems like so obvious. Like there is people out there that want to have an affair, they want to do it legitly, they want to find someone, and I guess having an affair with someone who's married as well, it obviously leaves out any, well, they might get feelings for me. Well, they're not going to get feelings for you because they have a husband to go home to, so they obviously don't want to have an affair either. So it just seemed like it would work both sides. The founder, Noel, and his wife also did plenty of interviews, both talking about how they think it's like a great business idea and that they would never have an affair, but they think it's a good option for other people. So that's fascinating, and it's even more fascinating, we'll find out in a second why it was. And another way the company made lots of money was through charging people to delete their account. So they said it costs $19.99, this is all in dollars, so they would say it costs $9.99 to delete your account. And all your data is all deleted. Say all your data is now deleted. With that, all your messages are gone. So I guess people would go have an affair, they'd spend whatever they did, go have an affair, and then they would delete their account, which just seems like such a smart idea. But for some crazy reason, they didn't delete everyone's account. So when people would pay the $20, they were just like, oh, whatever, they've got the money, like no one's ever going to find out about it. So they didn't bother deleting people's accounts. Like, if you're paying for it, that would be so frustrating. And then obviously, because like I said, statistically speaking, it would be more men than women would do it. And that's why they do like free drinks for girls into clubs to advertise them in, because if it's a free drinks or free entry for women, they're going to go in, and then once men see that, they're going to want to go in because they know there's lots of girls in there. So I guess that was the point of it, was to try get more women on the site. So they ended up getting fembots and men bots. I don't know what you call it. Fembots, male bots. Anyway, because there was like gay men on there as well. So people realized that these must have been fembots, because as well, if there was 100 men joined and only 20 women joined, then women were getting so overwhelmed with all the messages. You can just imagine like all the messages they would have been getting, especially because men had to instigate the messages, and they were obviously paying per message. I couldn't figure out exactly. I think somewhere said it was like $5 to start a message, which is like so expensive to have an affair. Like, what the hell? Why would you bother? Just treat your wife a bit better, go home and tell her you want to go on a date or something. Like, whatever you want to do with like having an affair, I feel like you should be able to go home and talk to your wife, and you know, because I don't think sometimes it's like just about like sex, companionship, or possibly just going on a date or whatever, meeting someone new. Like, do some sort of role play with your wife. Just go home and talk to your spouse. Like, I don't understand that side of an affair. I can understand why this concept worked and the business went well, but I just don't understand why people have an affair and they don't just talk to their spouse. It just flabbergasts me altogether. This is just coconut oil, by the way. So obviously people caught on that they were fembots because they would ghost them after a couple of messages. The messages were pretty generic, and they would notice like that they would message a few different women and the messages were like similar. So that's kind of how you do it. And I guess the difference is like in like catfishing on Tinder and stuff, is people were paying for these. And I know you can upgrade and pay on Tinder and stuff, but I guess on here you had to pay. It wasn't an option just to sign up for free. You had to pay in some sort of way. And then there was this story of this Brazilian woman who basically came out and tried to sue the company. She didn't win, because I think she was like asking for an extortionate amount of money, but she came out saying like she has a sore wrist from replying to all these messages to these men. And it's just hilarious, because it just means like it genuinely happened, like they actually did have fembots, which is just like, how can someone come out? I have a sore wrist, I need you to pay me for it. From 2002 to 2015, the company was doing really well. Like I said, there was 37 million people had joined this website and were having an affairs, and obviously everything with the fembots. But like, if you pay $200 to be a part of this and then found out it was a fembot, you paid another 100 quid on like messages, you couldn't exactly dispute it with the bank, and you couldn't tell your wife about it. So Ashley Madison was winning. Oh, fun fact, the name came from the two most popular names of that year. So in 2002, Ashley and Madison were the two most popular names. So that's how they came up with the name Ashley Madison, because I guess people would have recognized the name and hearing it a lot, and then the website. So that's how that came to be. That was a fun fact. It was going amazing, obviously, from 2002 to 2015. People were having their affairs, their spouses never knew, everything was going well. It was obviously like a big company, but unless you were like, if you'd seen an advert or thought your partner might cheat, you might necessarily look into it. You would just think it's just like one of them things you see, or because they didn't like openly advertise on like Facebook and stuff, maybe you wouldn't have seen it like promoted that heavy if you weren't in the know of wanting to have an affair. So that's how they kind of stayed under the radar, but was still making millions from all the people who signed up. Just think about it. If 37 million people, and let's do that by, let's say 20 million of them are like men, and they had signed up with $10 only, that's like $200 million, like just from like people signing up. So then think about the money and I don't know if they had like advertising on the website from other companies, you know, like sex products or something probably would have been advertised there, you know what I mean? July 15, 2015, the headquarters, Ashley Madison's headquarters, got an email from the anonymous team, or like the impact team. And they're a completely anonymous team, and to this day we still don't know who they are. Anyway, so they basically sent an email to Ashley Madison saying, you have 30 days to delete the whole account or we're going to release all the information. So during them 30 days, Ashley Madison just couldn't believe that someone would be able to hack their system and have all the information. So they got like the FBI try to find out who it was. And you think they deleted it? Hell no. You think they deleted everybody's info? 30 days they thought about maybe we should just delete everyone's information that is paid. No, they didn't. They got the FBI involved. No one could figure out who it was. So anyway, then after the 30 days, the first drop was released. So from this impact team, they dropped the first lot of names and information. And obviously there was quite a lot of big wigs and everything in the industry that were like a bit nervous about this, or even if you were just like a husband or wife or whatever that was having an affair but you deleted your account, you were like, oh, I'm cool, I paid my $20, got deleted, they don't have my information anymore. Oh no. All that information got absolutely leaked and everyone found out who you were. And then there was these separate websites that people made up. I don't think it was the impact team. I think it was someone else who just designed a whole website, put everyone's names in, so you could basically search your husband's name and find it. And then there's this clip of this this Australian radio station who was like, call in, you can find out if your husband was on Ashley Madison. So this woman called purely as a joke. So she gave her husband's name, we'll just say Michael Ryan. My husband's name's Michael Ryan and whatever. And they looked up and they said, oh, I'm really sorry, your husband's name's actually here. And you could tell that woman was heartbroken and the radio station was like, oh shit. Some of the names that were on it will absolutely, shock you, but not shock you. So the first big name that came out was Josh Duggar. So he was one of the kids off the show, 19 Kids and Counting. So his mom was the woman who had the 19 kids. And obviously that's all religious based, so it was quite a shocker that his name was on it. Obviously came out saying something like it either wasn't him or it was a mistake, but I'll do a whole separate video on him because disgusting. And ignore Pringles in the background because I'm sick of telling her to stop barking because she didn't listen to me and she just needs to get her little growls out, so just let her be behind me. Then there was Sam Ryder, Christian YouTuber. So he was the guy that went viral for, it was the 5th baby. And he said, I know my wife's pregnant, she doesn't. So he pretended the toilet wasn't working, let her pee, did a pregnancy test in the toilet, and then told her she was pregnant. So then he came out with this whole video, not denying, said, yeah, I was on it, but I prayed and God forgive me. And I was like, how do you know God forgives you? And I don't know, I haven't looked him up now to see what's he doing, but how do you know God forgives you? I just think that's quite a narcissistic thing. And this was actually a few days after his name. So it's you need to pray a little bit more before you say God forgives you. Let's be real about that. Snooki's husband, I don't think they're together anymore, but her husband came out, he was on it. Then there was Joe Biden's son, and obviously came out saying, it wasn't my son. All his information got leaked and robbed, and there's people using all his accounts, blah blah blah, but obviously it was his son. And then the CEO Noel was found with messages to and from escorts, and then was actually having an affair with a woman for years on the account, and turned out he had actually offered that woman a job in Ashley Madison. I don't think she accepted it, but he offered her a job. Oh my God. And like I said, no one knows who this impact team is at all, but everything came out to be true, and all these people were caught, lives were destroyed. And it was this wouldn't have happened if they actually just deleted people's information. I think people should be having an affairs. I'm always on the side of, if someone isn't happy in a relationship for whatever reason, I always feel you should be able to go to your spouse and talk it through and figure out the issue and see if you should break up. I don't think anyone should be together if they're not happy. But if someone's not getting something that they need out of the relationship, and it could be just anything, you know what I mean? You need to talk to your spouse before you go and have an affair. But I guess it's that whole adrenaline thing of having the affair is the thing that people want. Sorry, the sun's after disappearing, but I'm nearly done, so it won't be too bad for too long. So in 2021, that was the last time I could find info, though it is still open today. There was 80 users. The revenue was 10 million, or sorry, there was 80 million users in 2021. The revenue is still over 10 million. And they say there is now more women on it and they don't use fembots. So obviously the CEO Noel, him and his wife separate and stuff, and I presume she's obviously not for it anymore. But yeah, it's just an absolutely fascinating story, super crazy. There was no big thing of how they started the company. It was just they started the website, did it on a couple of corn websites, and The only big thing that happened with the company is the fact that they got caught and they didn't delete it, and that's the only big story that came from it. But I guess the marketing was smart and everything was cool about it, but super shame that they just couldn't do it properly. Well, not a shame, because I mean, if I found out Lewis was on there, but yeah, thanks for watching this video with me and having a cup of tea. I've tried to make it a short one. I've just put some coconut oil in my hair and I'm going to leave that on for like 20 minutes before I wash it. And if you want to know how I blow dry my hair, you can check out my other YouTube channel here where I'll post a video about that. And if you're interested on how Ryanair was started, because Ryanair's story is fascinating with their marketing, so make sure and check that out. You should be able to click the screen somewhere. Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one. My phone's running out of storage, so I'm gonna have to say goodbye for now, but hope you enjoyed your cup of tea, and I'll see you next time for Chats with Colleen.